What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Giselle, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this beautiful skirt. Take a look, take a gander. This is what she looks like. Now, if you don't follow me on TikTok or you don't have TikTok, then you might have missed me making this skirt. This is the first crochet skirt I've ever made, and I made it to go along with this outfit that I've crocheted a few months ago. I made a hood with a matching top and matching leg warmers. So I thought making a matching skirt would go perfect for the outfit, and it totally does. It totally does. It just completes the look, and I'm so excited to share this pattern with you guys. Well, we're gonna start off this project with a slip knot, of course. And to do a slip knot, you're gonna take your yarn and cross it like this. Then you are going to pinch the end of the yarn and pull it through the loop and tighten it, leaving out a little tail like this. So put your hook through the slip knot and tighten it up. Now, what I did to start off the skirt is I just made a chain long enough to wrap around my waist. Or if you have a measuring tape, you can grab it and wrap it around your waist so that way you know how long you need to make your chain. So I'm gonna make my chain long enough until it hits the 27 inches. To make the chain, we are going to hook the yarn, pull it through the loop. Hook the yarn, pull it through the loop, hook the yarn, pull it through the loop, and just keep going until it's long enough to wrap around your waist. I made a chain about 88 and it is 27 inches long. So this is what we're gonna use to start off the waistband. I left some room because remember, we're also gonna have to pull this up above our hips and our butts. So give yourself some stretch and some extra wiggle room to get it up. Now to start off the next row, we are going to do half double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm gonna skip this first stitch right here. Put my hook into the next stitch, and then we're going to bring the yarn through, and now we have 3 loops on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over again and then bring the yarn through all 3 loops like this, and this is going to start off our next row. Now we're going to keep going with nothing but half double crochets in each stitch. So we're going to yarn over, stick our hook into the next stitch, bring the yarn through. Now we have 3 loops in our hook, yarn over, and bring the yarn through all 3 stitches. So it's gonna look like this, and we're just gonna keep going all the way till we get to the end. So we yarn over, stick our hook into the stitch, bring the yarn through. Now we have 3 loops, yarn over, bring the yarn through all 3 loops. So let's just keep going. Yarn over, stick your hook in the stitch, bring the yarn through, yarn over, bring it through all 3. And since this is going to be a pretty lengthy project, I'm gonna go ahead and put on my compression gloves. If you guys experience any kind of like achy fingers or wrists or anything like that while you're doing your projects, I highly recommend you getting yourself some compression gloves because these will definitely help. And if you want to be crocheting for a long time, you need to take care of your fingers. Now we're going to continue putting 1 half double crochet in each stitch, and I will meet you guys when we get to the end here. So here we are at the end of the row. I'm just going to put in my last few half double crochets, and here's the last one. Cool. Now we are done with this row. To continue the next row, we're going to first start off by chaining 1. We're going to flip the project over, and then we're going to put our first half double crochet in this first stitch you see here. So yarn over, stick your hook in, bring the yarn through, got your 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and bring the yarn through all 3 loops, and it's going to look like that. Then we're going to continue doing half double crochets all the way until we get to the end, and we're going to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until we get to 11 rows, or however many rows you want your waistband thickness to be. So half double crochets in each stitch. I'm gonna end off my last half double crochets here. Here's the last one. There we go. Now remember, to start off the new row, you're always going to chain 1, flip the project over, and then do your half double crochet in this first stitch here. On to row 3, let's go. By the way, I got these compression gloves on clearance at Michael's, but look at this account that I just saw on my For You page. They make really cute compression gloves with all kinds of patterns, so definitely check them out if you want to support a small business. This is what 5 rows is looking like. To continue to the 6th row, chain 1, flip over, and half double crochet all the way to the other side. Oh, I washed my hands, so I took off my gloves. Let me put them back on. Okay, so here I am. I stopped at 9 rows. I know I said that I was gonna do 11 because that's what I did on my previous skirt, but when I compare the waistbands to each other, 9 rows of this yarn is the same as 11 rows of this yarn. So even though they both are labeled as medium size 4 yarn, that's just something I've kind of noticed, and I just wanted to let you guys know. But yeah, as you can see here, I made the waistband, let me get my measuring tape. I made the waistband 3 inches wide. So depending on how thick you want it and what kind of yarn you're using, yeah. So just wanted to let you guys know that. But yeah, I'm gonna stop here with 9 rows for this waistband that we're working on here. If I were to go to 11, it might be a little bit too thick. So now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make a chain, grab my scissors and cut that off. It's gonna make a little knot for you there. And I'm gonna take both of the ends of the waistband and I'm gonna connect them together by using a single crochet. So this is where we finished. You can tell because you can see the half double crochet stitches that we made. On the top here, it's not gonna look like that. It's gonna look like this. So we wanna keep the side with the half double crochets towards the bottom. We're gonna put that aside real quick, grab our yarn and make another slip knot. And then starting at the top of the waistband here, I'm gonna grab my hook, stick it through both corners of the top here, and then I'm gonna grab my little slip knot, bring it through both ends, and then I'm going to make a chain. Now to close this up, I'm going to do single crochets. So I'm going to stick my hook in between both ends, bring the yarn through, then I have 2 loops on my hook, then I'm gonna yarn over and then just bring it through 2 loops. And that's gonna kind of close this off right here. So we're gonna keep going until we get to the end. Stick your hook in. I'm not super precise where it's going to be. I just try to stick it in and hope for the best. Bring your hook through both of them, bring the yarn through. We got 2 loops, yarn over, and bring the yarn through. There we go. So that there is going to close up the waistband for us. That's what it's gonna look like on the other side. And now we can start working on the actual skirt portion. If you take a look at my skirt here, you can see here's the waistband of the half double crochets. And then the first row here, we start off with a mesh stitch. So I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna do that right now. All right, so we just closed up the waistband and now we are going to work on the bottom here where you can see our half double crochets. Now we're gonna start off this row by chaining 4. So we're gonna hook the yarn, bring it through 1, hook the yarn, bring it through 2, 3, and 4. So now we have our chain of 4. We're gonna skip the first stitch right here, and then into the next stitch, we're gonna do a double crochet. Now to do the double crochet, you're going to chain over. Remember, we're skipping this first stitch, so into the next stitch, we're gonna stick our hook in, bring the yarn through, and now we have 3 loops on our hook. Then we're gonna yarn over, bring the yarn through the first 2 loops. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. Then we're gonna yarn over again and then bring the yarn through the last 2 loops. And this is gonna create a little square net here that you can see. Now to continue, we're gonna chain 2. So hook your yarn, bring it through 1, hook your yarn, bring it through 2. We're gonna skip a stitch, and then into the next stitch, we're gonna do our double crochet. So yarn over, stick your hook in, bring the yarn through. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, bring the yarn through the first 2 loops, then yarn over and bring the yarn through the last 2 loops. And that's what it should look like. Then we're going to keep going for this first row. Chain 2, skip a stitch. Into the next one, you're going to put your hook in, bring the yarn through. Here we have our 3 loops. Yarn over, bring the yarn through the first 2 loops, yarn over, bring your yarn through the last 2 loops. Okay, now we're just going to keep going all the way until we get back over here. So chain 2, yarn over, skip a stitch, into the next stitch, stick your hook in, bring the yarn through, yarn over, bring it through the first 2, yarn over, bring it through the last 2. This is what it shall look like. Let's keep going. 1, 2, yarn over, skip a stitch, into the next one, double crochet, chain 2, skip a stitch, into the next one, double crochet, chain 2, skip a stitch, into the next one, double crochet. Now you can see the netting starting to form. Chain 2, skip a stitch, into the next one, double crochet. So I'm coming up close to the end of the row here. I did my chain 2, skip 1, half or double crochet. Now we have this one separating here. So what I'm gonna do now is chain 2, and then I'm gonna stick my hook into this first loop here, grab the yarn and do a slip stitch. And that's gonna close off this row here. You see? Now remember, when we start each round, we are always going to begin with a chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these next 8 stitches, I'm only going to put 1 double crochet, and then in the 9th stitch, I'm gonna put 2 double crochets. So that's where I'm gonna do my increase. So starting off, we're gonna yarn over and then put our first double crochet here in the first stitch. And then again, to continue, we're going to chain 2 and then put it right here in the next one. Double crochet, and then chain 2, double crochet. This is going to be number 3. Chain 2, double crochet. This is 4. Chain 2, double crochet 5, chain 2, double crochet 6. Here we have 7, chain 2. We're going to do 8, chain 2, and then in the 9th one right here, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So I did my chain 2, I'm going to yarn over and put in my first double crochet. So there's 1, and then I'm going to chain 2 and then put in my next double crochet into that same stitch. So it's going to look something like this. Now, the reason I did that is because when I counted all of these little mesh squares, I counted 45 of them. So if I do my increase every 9 stitches, that means I'm going to have 5 ruffles on the skirt because 9 times 5 is 45. Now I know everyone is not the same size, so definitely count how many you have in yours so that way you can calculate how many stitches you need to skip and how many ruffles you want. Because I could have done increases every 5 stitches and that would have given me 9 ruffles, but I didn't want it to be super ruffly. I just wanted to give it a nice shape. Of course, everyone is going to be different. We all have different body types. If you need any help figuring out how many stitches to skip, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to help too. Now let's continue our next set. So we just did our first increase right here. This is going to be one of the 5 ruffles that we're going to be making. Now to continue, we're going to chain 2. And then we're going to do 8 double crochets, and on the 9th one, we're going to do our increase again. So 1, chain 2, 3, chain 2, 4. Here's our 8th double crochet. And now for this 9th one here, we're going to be doing our increase again. So we chain 2, and we're going to put our first double crochet here in the 9th stitch. Here's our first one. Then we chain 2 and put in our second double crochet into the same stitch. And that's what it will look like. So there's our second set. This is going to be our second ruffle. I'm going to chain 2. And then again with the 8 double crochets. So 1, chain 2, 2. So I just did the 8th stitch. Now in the 9th one here, for my skirt, I'm going to put my increase. So I chain 2. Right here, I'm going to put my increase. So we start with the first double crochet. Chain 2. Second double crochet, and it'll look like that. 8 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the next one is 9, so I'm going to do my increase. 1, 2. Put in my first double crochet, chain 2, put in my second double crochet. Here we go. Here I am on my last set, so I'm going to chain 2 and continue putting 8 double crochets in each stitch until I get to the 9th one where we put in our increase. So chain 2, double crochet. Next one here is 8. So we do chain of 2, 1 double crochet in the 8th one. And now let me show you how we're going to put our increase right here. So this is our beginning loop, okay? So we're first going to chain 2. And if you take a look here, you can kind of see that we have this 4-way intersection. And right in the middle is where I'm going to put my first double crochet. So I've already chained 2. I'm going to yarn over, put my first double crochet in the middle of that little 4-way intersection. Okay, so it's going to look like that. So we put in our first double crochet. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. And here in the first loop, I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I'm going to put my hook in the loop here, grab the yarn, and then bring it through this first loop. And you can see here, there is our little triangle increase. For the next one, we're going to start off by chaining 4, because remember, we always start off our rows by chaining 4 for this skirt specifically. Now here, we're going to be putting 1 double crochet into each stitch until we get to this increase here. So I'm going to grab a stitch marker and put it like right here in between so that way we know where our increase is. Okay, so I'm gonna put 1 double crochet in each stitch until I reach that increase, and then I'll show you what we'll do from there. So just put in the first one for the 3rd row. Now we continue by chaining 2 and then double crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch. So here we are at the increase from the previous row. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then if you can see our increase here, it kind of looks like a little V, right? Because we have our 2 double crochets. So on both sides of the V, I'm going to be putting 2 double crochets. So 2, chain 2, 2. So we're going to put in our first double crochet here, like that. Then chain 2, and you're going to put in your second double crochet into that same stitch. So we kind of branched off here, and this one's branching off too. Now we're also going to put 2 double crochets in this next one here, the left side of the increase. Okay, so we chain 2, put in our first double crochet right here, and then we chain 2 and put in our second double crochet. And that is what it's going to look like. Kind of creates a little triangle here for us, but this is what is going to create the ruffle for our skirt. I'm going to put the stitch marker right here in between these two double crochets so we know where we're going to be putting our increases next. So I'll just leave this guy here. Then we're going to continue putting 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to the next increase. So here's my next increase, just so that way I know. I'm going to put my little stitch marker here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to chain 2 and put 1 double crochet in each stitch until I get to my increase. So chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Oop. We're coming up close to the increase. Here it is. So I'm going to move my stitch marker to the side really quick. Okay. So remember, for the increase on both the left and the right side of our little V here, we're going to put 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. So we're going to first start off by chaining 2. We're going to put in our first double crochet right here on the right side of the V, if that makes sense. Then I'm going to chain 2 and put in my second double crochet, like that, branching off, branching off. Then I'm going to chain 2, and on the left side of the V here, we're going to put 2 double crochets again. So here's the first one, chain 2, here's the second one, like that. Then I'm going to grab a stitch marker again, so I'm going to put it right here in between the 2 V's. Now I'm going to continue putting 1 double crochet in each stitch until I get to the next increase. Here it is, and just so I remember where it is, I'm going to put my stitch marker here. Chain 2, and then we put 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to our next increase. And here we are at our increase. Let's move our little buddy to the side. Thank you for your service. We're back at our lovely little V increase here. So remember, we're going to be putting 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets on both sides of the V. So we chain 2, 1, 2, put in our first double crochet, chain 2, put in our second double crochet, There you go, branching off, branching off. And then we chain 2. On the left side of the V, we're also going to put 2 double crochets. So here goes the first one, chain 2, and here goes the second one. And I'm going to put my stitch marker right here, back in between these 2 V's or these 2 increases. Here's my next increase, so let me grab my stitch marker so I know where I'm going to stop. And then again, we do double crochet in each stitch until we get to the increase. So chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to put 2 double crochets on both sides of our V or increase. So here goes the first one. Let me get you out of the way. So here goes our first double crochet. I'm going to chain 2 and then put in my second double crochet into that same stitch. And then again, I'm going to put 2 double crochets on the left side of the V or the increase. So I'm going to chain 2, put in my first double crochet, and then chain 2, and I'm going to put in my second double crochet here. Then I'm going to grab my stitch marker and put it right back here in between my 2 increases or my 2 V's. And then for the last increase, I'm going to put one more stitch marker so we know where to stop. I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to our next increase. So chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. All right, so we're coming up on our last increase. I'm going to remove the stitch marker. So I chained 2. Remember, on both sides of the V or the increase, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So I'm going to put my first double crochet right here, and then chain 2, and then put in my second double crochet in that same stitch. And then here we are at that little 4-way intersection again. If you can see what I'm talking about right here. Right there. So I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to put my first double crochet right here in the middle of this little 4-way intersection. Like that. So 1 double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2, and right here is our beginning loop of this round. So I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I'm going to put my hook in, grab the yarn, bring it through that first loop, and that's going to end this round. So here is our previous increase. We put our stitch marker right back here in between our 2 increases or our 2 V's. To start off the next round, we're going to chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, because we always start off our rounds with 4 chains. Now that we have our chain of 4, we're going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to our increase. So here goes our first loop for the next round, and we continue by chaining 2 and then doing a double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 2, double crochet. All right, so I'm approaching our 2 increases, and this is where it's going to kind of get a little wonky, but I need you guys to just stay with me, okay? And hopefully the stitch markers also help as a visual aid. What we're going to do for all of the rest of the increases in this row, we are only going to put double crochets right here on the innermost parts of our V's or our increases. So on this one out here on the right, we're only going to put 1. So I'm going to grab my hook, I'm going to chain 2, and I'm only going to put 1 on this right side of our V or increase. So here goes 1 double crochet. Now on this inside part of our increase or the V, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So I chain 2. Here's my first double crochet. I chain 2 and I put my second double crochet. And I'm going to remove the stitch marker here really quick. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is chain 2 and remove this hair. Sorry, I shed like a dog. And then in this next stitch, remember the innermost part of our V or our increase, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So here goes the first one. I chain 2 and put the second one. And it's going to look like that. So we have our 2 V's or our 2 increases, and we're going to put our stitch marker right in between them. But right here in the previous row, you can see our increase. On the outer part, we're only putting 1 double crochet. So I chain 1, chain 2, put 1 double crochet right here on the outer part of our V. When we get to the next increase, I'll go over it again, but as you can see here, this is what is going to create our ruffle. And as we continue, we'll only be putting 2 double crochets on the innermost part of our increases. Next, I'm going to keep putting 1 double crochet into each stitch until we get to our next increase, and then I'll show you again how we're going to do that. But for now, we're just going to chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and all that good stuff. So I'm coming up on my next 2 increases here. Now remember, on the outer part of the V, so over here on our right, we're going to put 1 double crochet, but on the inner part of our V or the increase, we're putting 2 double crochets. So I have my chain of 2, put in my first double crochet right here. So on the outer part of the V or the increase, here we have 1 double crochet. On the inner part of the V or the increase, we put 2 double crochet. So I'm going to chain 2, put in my first double crochet, then I'm going to chain 2 and put in my second double crochet. All right, I'm going to move our stitch marker for a second. Hey, comply. Anyway, so we just did 2 double crochets on the inner part of this increase. Now I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to put 2 double crochets on the inner part of this increase here. So we'll put 1 right here, chain 2, put the second one right here on the innermost part of our V or increase. And there we go. I'm going to put the stitch marker back where it belongs, in between our 2 increases. Now I'm going to chain 2. We put 2 double crochets on the innermost part of this increase here in the previous row. Now on the outer part of this increase or V, I'm only going to put 1 double crochet. So here goes our 1 double crochet. And then we continue putting 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to our next increase. So we continue, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So chain 2, into the next one, chain 2, into the next one. All right, now we're coming up on our next chunk of increases. Now remember, on the outside of the increases, we're only putting 1 double crochet, and the insides of the increases, or our V's, the sides that are touching the stitch marker here, these ones are going to be 2 double crochets in each. This one gets 1 double crochet. Then we chain 2. Now the inner part of our increase here, this one gets the 2 double crochets. So we chain 2. Here's my first double crochet. Chain 2. Second double crochet. Okay. Now if you'll excuse a stitch marker, we have business to take care of. Now here's our next increase. Remember, the innermost part of the increase here gets the 2 double crochets, and then one on the outside gets only 1. So we're going to chain 2 and put 1 double crochet, chain 2. Here's the second double crochet. Now I'm going to put the stitch marker. You can come back. Put it right here in between our 2 increases. Now this outer part of the increase here, what does that get? 1 double crochet. Correct! We chain 2 and only gets 1 double crochet. So that was our next chunk of increases. And we're going to do the same thing for the next increase and the next and the next and the next, and all the way until we're done with the skirt. So yeah, we're pretty much just doing this like for 1, 2, 3, 4, like for 13 more rows. We're only putting double crochets on the inner parts of our increases here, and that's basically it. But we're going to keep going around, and I'm going to keep showing you just in case if you need to see it. So we chain 2 and double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. We have approached the next set of increases here. So I did my chain of 2. Now remember, the outside part of our increase here, the right side, the outer part of the increase, we only put 1 double crochet. You get 1. But the one next to you, the innermost part of our increase here, gets 2. We chain 2 and we put 2 double crochets on the innermost part of our V, aka the increase. Then we chain 2. Here's my second double crochet. Now for our next little increase here, remember on the innermost part, we put 2 double crochets. So I chain 2, move. Here goes the first double crochet, and I chain 2, and I'll give you another double crochet. Putting my stitch marker back here in between our 2 increases. Now we did our 2 double crochets on the innermost part of the increase here, so put our 1 double crochet. Now we're going to continue putting 1 double crochet in each stitch, and I'll meet you back at our last increase here. Here I am at the last increase of this row. Okay, I'm going to chain 2, and then the outer part of this increase right here only gets 1 double crochet. Now we chain 2. The innermost part of the increase here gets 2 double crochets. Chain 2. Here goes a second one. Like that. Move the stitch marker real quick. The last increase here, I'm going to put 2 double crochets on the inner part of our increase. So I'm going to chain 2. Put my first double crochet here, chain 2, put my second double crochet here. All right. So now that we've done our 2 increases, I'm going to put my stitch marker back right in between them so I know where we're going to be increasing next. And then to end off this row, since we've already done our 2 increases here, we don't need to kind of put a double crochet right here in the four-way intersection, all we're gonna do is chain 2 and then do a slip stitch. So you're gonna put your hook into the first loop of the row, grab the yarn, and then slip it into the first loop. And that's how it's going to look. All right, so we just finished up our 4th mesh row. Now we're gonna start the next row by chaining 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're gonna put 1 double crochet in each stitch until we reach our increase. So I'll go over this a few more times with you guys. If you feel like you already have the hang of it, then just go on ahead. So chain 2, double crochet. Here we are approaching our increase, so I'm going to chain 2. The outer part of our V or our increase is going to get 1 double crochet. So here's 1. Then we chain 2. Then the innermost part of the increase or our V is going to get 2 double crochets. So here's the first double crochet, chain 2. Here's the second double crochet. And there's the increase there. I'm gonna move stitch marker for a second. This innermost part of the increase is gonna get 2 double crochets. So I'm gonna chain 2, put in my first double crochet, chain 2, put in my second double crochet, and I'm going to put my stitch marker right back here in between my 2 increases so I know where we're going to be increasing when we come around again. Chain 2, and then the outermost part of the increase or our V only gets 1 double crochet. So here's our 1. We are done with this increase. Then again, we're going to chain 2 and then double crochet, chain 2, double crochet until we reach our next increase. Now here we are at the last increase of this row. So remember, we're going to put 1 double crochet on the outer part of the increase here. 1, then we chain 2, and we're going to put 2 double crochets on the inner part of the increase here. Here's the first, chain 2, and here's the second. Move my stitch marker. Now we chain 2, and in the next increase we're going to put 2 double crochets on the innermost part of the increase here. So here's the first double crochet, chain 2, here's the second double crochet, and then we chain 2, and we're only putting 1 double crochet on the outer part of the increase here. So here goes 1, and I'm gonna make sure I put my stitch marker right back here in between our 2 increases. Now again, to end off the row, it's gonna be pretty simple. We're gonna chain 2, we're gonna put 1 double crochet in this 1 stitch here. Then to complete the row, all we're gonna do is chain 2 and then do a slip stitch. So put your hook in the first loop of the row here, grab the yarn, then you're gonna slip it through the first loop on your hook. And that's gonna close off the row for you. And guys, that is basically it. You're gonna keep going and doing the same thing over and over and over. I'm gonna go try to finish the rest of the skirt off camera. But yeah, I think I went over it enough for you guys to be able to get the hang of it. You can definitely rewind and watch it as many times as you need. And then let me show you what the skirt is starting to look like here. So where our increases are, you can see it's starting to create this little ruffle here. And then same with over here too. I'm gonna keep going until I reach 17 mesh rows, and then I'll come back and let you guys know how to end off the skirt and show you what it should look like. All right guys, here I am about to end off the skirt. So I'm going to chain 2, then we're gonna join the row by doing a slip stitch. So stick your hook into the loop, grab the yarn and slip it through the first loop. Now, what I always like to do to end off my crochet pieces is I like to just chain one and then just, you know, pull out a little bit of yarn, cut that off, and that's gonna kind of create a little knot here at the end. Then I'm just gonna weave in the end. It's a good spot. I'm just gonna cut off the excess. And that's it. Let's say your skirt is a little loose around your hips and you want it to be tighter and or make it high-waisted. Well, I'm gonna show you how you can do that. I've seen some TikToks of someone using like elastic, like really thin elastic to, you know, crochet along with their projects. I don't have, you know, super thin elastic, but I do have like this kind of elastic. So what you can do if you have this kind of elastic, or if you want to grab some from the Dollar Tree, I got this from the Dollar Tree, you can wrap it around your waist and kind of stretch it just a little bit so that way it fits comfortably around, you know, where you want it to sit. Depending on how thick your waistband is, I only did 2. But my go-to is always cutting a little hole into the elastic and then putting a pair of tweezers in it. And then I just kind of like squeeze the tweezers, run them through the stitches all the way until I get to the other side. Now you can give it a knot or two whenever it reaches the other end, or if you have a sewing machine, you can just sew up the ends of the 2 elastic and then that should be good. It might come out looking a little scrunched like this, but whenever you put it on, it's gonna be, you know, flat out like this and fitted to your body. So you can see I have 1 elastic right at the top and then 1 more kind of right below that, and that's gonna help make this skirt fit a little bit better. So this is what it looked like without the elastic, and this is what it looks like with the elastic. Fits a lot better, it's a lot more snug. If I were to dance around, I don't have to worry about it falling off. So yeah, try that and hopefully that helps. If you, oh my goodness, if you make this, please tag me, please let me know. I want to see your creations. If you like this video, please subscribe, share with a friend who may be interested in making something like this. Also, make sure you follow me on TikTok too. I post there a lot more frequently. Oh, another thing that I was thinking, I know I've been posting like a lot of tutorials and whatnot, but I don't want to post nothing like but tutorials. So I was thinking, like, what are some things that you guys would like to see? I'm gonna keep posting more tutorials. Definitely like a hood next time, or maybe even the top. I know a lot of people were asking about that on TikTok. So maybe those are gonna be the next tutorials coming up. But I definitely want to make like thrift videos, thrift with me, thrift flipping and sewing and upcycling. Maybe some like makeup stuff, because if you didn't know, I was a freelance makeup artist for a few years, so that could be really fun too. But you guys let me know what you're thinking. But guys, this has been a long journey. If you've made it all the way through, I love you and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Mwah. Bye.